I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. Roach. Welcome, everybody. Tonight is an exciting meeting of Penn-Harris-Madison Board of School Trustees. It is always great to look out in the boardroom and see that we're accompanied by some of our students who I have a feeling we're going to be celebrating your successes tonight. We have really been looking forward to this. So welcome all who have joined us here in the boardroom. I know that we have some folks who have joined us in our overflow crowd just outside the boardroom. Welcome to you as well. And a special moment to recognize everybody who is joining us via our live YouTube feed. We're so happy that you've decided to spend your Monday nights with us. So with that, we'll call this meeting to order. The first item on our agenda is the adoption of the agenda. Board members, any changes or additions? Hearing none. Administration?
The administration has no changes.
Do I have a motion to adopt the proposed agenda for the Monday, June 27, 2022 regular board meeting as presented?
I so move.
Second.
All those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Any opposed vote nay. Motion carries by a vote of 4-0. Next up is the minutes. Board members, do you have any additions or changes to the minutes from the May 23rd, 2022 executive session and regular board meeting? Hearing none. Administration?
The administration has no changes.
Then do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the May 23rd, 2022 executive session and regular board meeting as presented?
I so move.
Second.
All those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Any opposed vote nay. That motion also carries by a vote of 4-0. So Dr. Thacker, let's get to what we've all come here for. Superintendent's recognitions and announcements. I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, President Riley, Board of Trustees. It's my favorite time during a board meeting. I'm going to start tonight, though, by saying a big congratulations. We talk about leadership as being very important in our school district. You're going to hear about some of those things tonight, but one of our key members of the leadership team sitting up here, Chief Operating Officer Aaron Linsky, completed his doctoral defense. He has a PhD from Purdue University, effective right now. So congratulations, Dr. Linsky.
Need a new placard.
I will make sure that he gets one. And so as we continue, we're going to be recognizing Indiana's finest baseball team in just a moment. But right now we have with us our Executive Director of the Penn-Harris-Madison Education Foundation, Mrs. Jennifer Turnbaum. She's going to present a year-end report for 21-22 school year and share some of the things that our teachers and students have enjoyed.
Thank you so much, President Riley, Dr. Thacker, members of the school board. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. I'm excited to share some spring updates from the foundation. We've had a lot going on. Excited to share all of this with everyone here. So we had our 25th annual gala. Do I hit? Oh, perfect. Thanks. We raised $146,000 that evening, which will really boost our ability to fund grant cycles for the next 5 years. So we'll be able to increase the amount that we are putting back into the schools. We also gave out 3 $1,000 fine arts grants for Prairie Vista, Horizon, and Elsie Rogers. Those schools really went above and beyond with fundraising with their families, with the families voting for the schools. There was a really cool story about some kids from Elsie Rogers. They were so proud of the video. All the schools created a Broadway video that we put up on our website, and the kids from Elsie Rogers were so excited and proud that we had a group of 5th grade girls that got together and they sold stickers for water bottles in the hallway and raised hundreds of dollars to help boost their school's vote total. And so we were really excited to give those grants to the schools to support their fine arts program. 25% of all the funds raised on the voting was given directly back to the schools too for them to use in discretionary grant funding. We also got to introduce our Short Circuits Robotics program, which is a new program that I'll be talking about in just a minute that will be starting in the fall in all of our elementary schools. And as I mentioned, this event was hugely successful and really boosted our funding for grants for the upcoming years. So Short Circuits is a really exciting program. We're going to run it similarly to Runnings Elementary, but this is an opportunity for all of our third grade elementary students to experience robotics. It's going to be a 5-week program. We are working with the high school robotics team, and they will come into the elementary schools and serve as coaches for our third graders, giving them an opportunity to share all of the amazing things that they do in robotics, how competitions work, teach the kids a little bit about coding. They'll get to work collaboratively with their peers. It will be open to all third grade students. It'll be a really great opportunity at this young age for them to experience robotics and coding and teamwork before they're really eligible to get involved in robotics through the schools or through other ways. And it's an awesome opportunity to bring our high schoolers into the schools to work with the students, to show off what they know and to get the kids really excited. So we raised $38,000 for the program through a very generous direct donation and then through funding at the gala when we were able to share the program. So we were really, really excited to have our high school robotics team there with us and sharing some of the amazing things that they do. And we've always been proud to support the work they're doing in the community too. We did give out our spring 2022 grants. We had some amazing applications. I'm really excited, like I said, to be able to get to the point where the foundation doesn't ever have to turn down a good grant. We have some incredible educators in the school district with a lot of passion. And this is a really good way for people who have not been involved in the foundation or in the schools to get involved with your schools, because we welcome parents helping their teachers write grants. It's a really good thing to reach out to teachers and say, hey, if there's something you want to apply for, we do 2 grant cycles a year. I would love to sit down and help you write that grant and get the funding for some cool, innovative ideas. So we funded, if you go to the next, thanks. So we had traditional grants are a longer grant application. And just to share with people who aren't aware of the way the process works, our teachers or staff members in the schools can apply for a grant during our grant cycle. We sit down with the grants committee, which is made up of our board members and also a representative from the school district, to make sure that everything we're funding stays in line with what the district would like to see happen in the schools. And so then we look for innovative ideas, things that really give teachers a chance to try out new programs and technology. So for this spring, we funded VR headsets for Walt Disney. So that's going to be a really great chance for these kids to get to experience things. They can do a lot of travel with these programs. They can experience a lot of different ways to work in groups and problem solve and see things that they otherwise wouldn't get to see. We also funded the One Choice book, which is written by the founder of the 525 Foundation. This lesson's already being taught in health classes throughout the district. And so we funded 100 of these books for Grissom Middle School. We're really excited to get those, make those available to the students, and they'll be able to stay with the school, so they'll use them year after year. And then also a very exciting STEM Sensation program, which was written by Ann Lira, who's an elementary school teacher at Horizon. And what she's created is a program where teachers can go in and check out these pre-written STEM lessons with all of the tools put together, the lesson planning done, and a video on how to use it in their classroom. And the teachers can use those in all the classrooms throughout the school. They'll just be able to go in and borrow that and use it in their lesson planning. And if you're interested in reading more in depth about our grants, the traditional or the easy grants that we fund, which are on the next page, all of these are available on our website, which is www.phmef.org. And as I said, that gives a little bit more detail on all of the grants that we've done. And then, so we've got, as I said, we've got the easy grants, which are under $250, and that's just a simpler form for some easier materials that we like to support in the classrooms. And then the last thing I wanted to touch on tonight is our Exceptional Education Coffee Cart project. Now, one of these was Star Buddies, which is funded through our traditional grant cycle. This was written by Discovery Middle School. And it's a really cool program that gives our exceptional education students a chance to work in a coffee shop type setup, making coffee and selling it to teachers. Teachers in the school can go in and order a cup of coffee for $1, but they work with other students in the school. So it's a great partnership between the students, a great way to build friendships and get to know each other, and a great chance to build empathy and work together. So then we also saw a grant come through for the Spartan Express, which was a similar program that they wanted to open at Schmucker. The board was really excited. The grant committee thought, like, this is a great opportunity for us to really help the middle schools build this program. So right now, this summer, we're working a little bit on how we can start something similar at Grissom, and then for the foundation to take over partially funding these programs just to help them get off the ground and ensure that they can keep going in all 3 middle schools and really give as many students as we can this awesome opportunity. So we've done a lot of exciting work this spring. I'm really looking forward to what we've got coming up in the fall. We will go back to hosting our timed 5K, the Silver Mile, in conjunction with co-hosting Homecoming with the high school this year. So that'll be a really great opportunity. And we have the College and Career Fair coming up in the fall, and we'll be doing our job fair again in the spring. So a lot of exciting things going on. Thank you so much for letting me come in and share everything with you guys.
Thank you so much. It's hard to address all of the great things that are going on with the Education Foundation. I'm still blown away by the Short Circuits robotics. Thank you so much for your vision in bringing robotics to our elementary students with the help of our high school students. I think it's just an extraordinary program. Thanks for all you're doing for the Education Foundation. You're doing an exceptional job. It's always great to hear from you. And thanks for your great presentation.
Thank you so much.
Okay, the next thing that we have is a short video that's going to show a wrap up, and then we're going to go live with our state championship team. Flavored jerky.
Seniors bring you on the last day of school. Congratulations, class of 2022.
And there's one specific lesson that I gleaned that I feel is especially relevant to us today, which is to always express gratitude. There are an innumerable amount of people who have offered advice, time, effort, and support to help each of us reach where we sit tonight. It is crucial that we thank them. Thank you to my mom, to my dad, and thank you to that one lady at Chipotle who always gave me extra guac.
Honored guests, faculty, members, staff, it's my honor to introduce the class of 2022.
Standing performance tonight by Ben Gregory and the Penn Kingsmen.
Okay, now it's the most exciting part of this meeting. The others were great, but I'm so proud to share with you that the Penn High School boys baseball team won Class A 4A state championship on Saturday, June 18th at Victor Field in Indianapolis with a 3-0 win over Cathedral. Penn pitcher Ben Gregory was named the IHSAA Bob Gardner Mental Attitude Award winner for 4A baseball after the championship win. Saturday's game marked Penn's 12th straight win and notched its 12th shutout of 2022. The championship game against a team that had scored 67 runs in the tournament scored none against our flawless Kingsmen. Okay, this is the fifth state championship for head coach Greg Dicus, who's been the leader for 35 years. Now, as I look at the records and I evaluate objectively, I believe that Coach Dicus is Indiana's finest baseball coach ever. There's one coach who had more years of experience and has four more state championships from LaPorte High School. Nobody has more 4A championships than Coach Dicus, and nobody has a winning percentage of 5 out of 6 attempts like Coach Dicus. So I'm so proud to say congratulations to the Penn baseball team on the state championship, and I'd like to introduce and welcome Indiana's finest baseball coach, Greg Dicus, to introduce any team members and share some of your thoughts and comments. Coach Dicus.
I'd like to say thank you for giving us this opportunity. We have a number of ball players here tonight. I would like for all you guys to stand up and be recognized. Just kind of work. Mason Campbell, Casey Finn, Ben Gregory, Colton Hugnall, Cam Dombrowski, Zach Pelletier. On this side, we have Hunter Morzinski, Cooper Hums, Zach Hoskins, and Adam Lehman. A group of fine young men.
Coach is one behind you.
Oops, did I miss someone? Oh, and Ian, rubber arm, Ian. Sorry. Well, in the last 8 years, the Penn baseball team have won 7 NIC championships, 4 semi-state appearances, 3 state final appearances with 2 state championships. This includes our 2020 COVID season, where we were ranked #1 in the preseason poll for Indiana. So our poster has a mythical state champs on that, but I don't think we didn't get a blue ring for that. To do this, it takes more than just talent. It takes a team that wants it just a little bit more than the other guy. It takes a team of young men to buy in and jump in with both feet. They figured out what needed to be done, and they did it. The chemistry on this team was incredible. They were unselfish and truly cared for one another. And that's a mark of a great team. They represented Penn High School and the Penn community in an outstanding fashion, and I was very proud to be a part of it. We've had 9 all-conference players on this year's squad. Braden Schatzow, pitcher, Adam Lehman. I got to go 1 through 9 right here. Adam Lehman, catcher, Ben Gregory, first base, Colton Hugnall, second base, Cam Dombrowski, shortstop, Zach David was our utility man, Cooper Hums, outfield, Zach Hoskins, outfield, and Zach Pelletier, DH. That's incredible, having 9 all-conference. We had a North-South All-Star participant, Zach Hoskins right here. He just finished up the North-South All-Star game this weekend. We had 2 academic All-State in Ben Gregory and Zach David. Very proud of that. We had the Mental Attitude Award winner, Ben Gregory, as well. Just incredible group of young men. I could go on and on and on. I'm getting thoughts together for our banquet and I come home and I tell my wife, Sally, I got way too much stuff. I got to condense it down because you just can talk on and on about these young men and their accomplishments. I want to thank Dr. Thacker and Dr. Linsky, Mr. Gallagher, Mr. Hart, Mrs. Williams, Ms. Stone, and Mrs. Dunderman, the administrative team. I appreciate what you guys do. You have an understanding of the process, what it takes to build, what a coach has to go through to build a team. Okay, without your support, head coaches would be hurting. Okay, we got to have your support, and I don't take it for granted. We take the process very, very seriously, and I think the proof is in the pudding, right? Dr. Thacker, you mentioned about the 12 shutouts. That goes with Coach Tom Stanton, our pitching guru. Tom, stand up, take a bow. He calls pitches. We made a coaching juggle our lineup a little bit. Brought him up on the varsity just for that reason. He did an outstanding job. I can't thank him enough for the job that he's done. Such a great job. I'm proud. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for being here.
Holiday picture taken with you.
Did you want to do one with the whole team? Try to anyway.
Try
Yeah,
it.
we can
Give it a
try.
try. It. Come on, it'll work.
You guys all want to come up?
Yes, do it.
All the people I know, I didn't want to.
Maybe if we move this way, I would get that.
There's more space.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
It'll work.
Thanks.
Why don't you?
In addition to these great players, is there anybody really, really special in this room you'd like to introduce?
I see some moms and dads that I know, Dr. Thacker, they're in here.
You're referring to our number one fan, Sally Dykes, right here.
Every championship team has a picture of Sally Dykes. We want you here.
Okay, let me try and fit all of you guys in here. This thing's difficult to move. All right, that's good. Thank you, Sean. Okay, right here. And again. You might take one on the second. You guys are too large. Okay, right here. 1, 2, 3. Couple. And we're done. Thank you.
And now, is there, let's look out here, see some other stuff.
There's my parents in the back there. Mom and Dad.
Stand up, please. I always talk about that triangle success connecting students, teachers, and parents. And boy, did this pay off. Middle Attitude Award winner, shutout game, fantastic player, student, athlete, great parents, Hall of Fame coach. Congratulations for being part of the triangle. Is there anybody else like to introduce? If you guys, anybody, parents, parents, or Well, congratulations, guys. So proud of you. We're getting loud.
Hello. Normally, I have to open the door for our students who have been recognized at our school board meetings and say, now would be an appropriate time to leave, but they didn't waste any time. The natural born leaders. Oh, that was a great presentation. Congratulations to all of our student athletes. I want to especially mention Ben Gregory and say congratulations to you, Ben, for being the Mental Attitude Award winner. Congratulations to the coach. What an incredible honor for Penn High School and for our student athletes. Okay, so we'll move on to our next agenda item, which is the consent agenda. Dr. Thacker.
Thank you, President Riley, Board of Trustees. The administration recommends approval of the 20 items appearing on the consent agenda. Appearing on our personnel report on our classified staff are 4 retirements. Linda Knapp, media aide at Elm Road, who will retire August 31st after 29 years of service. Len Dodd, food service worker at Penn High School, who retired June 2nd after 8 years of service. Nancy Newcomer, Title I aide at Meadows Edge, who retired June 3rd after 4 years of service. And Cindy Gearhart, educational assistant at North Point, who retired June 2nd after 22 years of service. On behalf of the board and the administration, we wish each one of these retirees the very best in their upcoming retirements.
Board members, any questions or comments? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the June 27, 2022 consent agenda as presented by Dr. Thacker?
So move.
Second.
All those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Any opposed vote nay. Motion carries by a vote of 4-0. And Linda, Lynn, Nancy, and Cindy, we certainly wish you well. Thanks for all you've done for Penn-Harris-Madison School Corporation. We'll move on to our next agenda item. Dr. Thacker.
Thank you, President Riley. Appearing on the personnel report that was just approved under administrative appointments are 3 new administrators we'd like to introduce. So first, please join me in welcoming Mrs. Shonda Masterson, has been named our new principal at Bittersweet Elementary School. And Mrs. Masterson, come forward, please. She's been with PHM for, you won't believe it, you look at her, she's been with them 24 years and she looks like she's 20. We're included serving as an elementary teacher at Elm Road and Moran Elementaries. She's been a science teacher, instructional leader, and most recently an assistant principal at Discovery Middle School. She earned her master's degree in elementary education at IU South Bend. She earned her MBA from Indiana University's Kelley School of Business. She will be an outstanding leader for us. We're so proud to introduce and welcome Ms. Masterson.
Thank you so much, Dr. Thacker, President Riley, and all the members of the school board. I am so honored and excited to be here tonight to accept this new role here in PHM. I have been, as Dr. Thacker mentioned, with PHM for a long time, and I love every bit of it. I have loved being an Elm Road Eagle. I have loved being a Moran Knight. I have loved being a Discovery Archer, and I look really forward to being a Bittersweet Bobcat. So thank you for this opportunity. I promise I will give it my best, give it my all, and make it my best year ever, and hopefully Bittersweet's best year ever too. So thank you so much for this opportunity.
Please stick around. We're going to get a picture with you in a bit.
Sure.
Okay. So thank you and congratulations. Our next administrative appointment that appears on the personnel report tonight is Assistant Principal at Grissom Middle School, Mrs. Sarah Smith. Mrs. Smith will be joining PHM from Westside Middle School, Elkhart Community Schools, where she's been and assistant principal since 2015. She has also been a 7th and 8th grade math teacher and math department chair. Mrs. Smith received her bachelor's degree in business administration finance from Hillsdale College in 1994. Her Master of Arts degree in teaching from Wayne State in 2004. Her education specialist administration degree from Saginaw Valley State University in 2011. It is my pleasure to introduce our new assistant principal at Grissom Middle School, Mrs. Sarah Smith.
I can't see anymore. Thank you, Dr. Thacker and President Riley and the members of the board. I am just absolutely thrilled to be moving to PHM and to take a leadership role at Grissom Middle School. My experience at PHM thus far has been nothing short of amazing. The district leadership has answered all of my questions. They have worked diligently to find the right fit for my skill set, and they have made me feel so incredibly welcomed and supported during my transition. I'm looking forward to working as part of the building leadership at Grissom to revitalize the Grissom community while promoting the PHM triangle of success. Building community will allow all stakeholders to take ownership in the learning necessary for all students to succeed. My mentor and dear friend instilled in me an attitude of what's best for kids. She taught me that school leaders need to look at each action they take and each reaction they have through the lens of what is best for kids. I'm excited to put kids first at Grissom so that we can achieve and grow academically at the highest level. Allowing kids to achieve and grow means we'll need to support teachers in engaging students while maintaining academic rigor. We will need to evaluate programs and instruction to guarantee our effectiveness, and we will need to support the social and emotional well-being of our students and our staff members. I'm excited to take on this new challenge, and I really appreciate all of the faith in my ability that you have, and I look forward to making a positive, lasting change in our community. Thank you so much.
Now, Mrs. Sinclair, who is the principal at Grissom, will be here at a future meeting. She is not available tonight, but she's thrilled to be the principal, and we're thrilled to have her.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Come on, back microphone. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks. Appreciate it. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there anybody here you'd like to introduce?
My family's watching virtually, so.
My family in Detroit is watching, but I brought my husband, Drew, with me.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, Drew just said to me, that's Scarlett's favorite.
Good to know. The other side. Good to know.
Watching, right? Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations again to Shonda and Sarah for your appointments, and we look forward to seeing Jennifer at our next school board meeting. We'll move on to our next agenda item, which is an instruction action item. Dr. Thacker.
Thank you, President Riley.
Dr. Thacker, do you mind if I interrupt you for a second? Have we lost our live feed?
Now, we can start back up.
Yeah. Okay, why don't we start back up as soon as our live feed is ready to go?
It's got power because it's got the, you hit the mic button. So if you hit that off, but we're not seeing the eye should be lighting up for video. You want to check the USB to make sure it's seated properly.
There it goes off.
Oh.
Hold on.
It indicated mini bridge on. Oh, your camera's clicked off. Go ahead and turn the camera on. There we go.
For those who've been watching via our YouTube live feed, welcome back. We missed you, but we're now going to move on to our instruction action item for the evening. Dr. Thacker.
Thank you, President Riley, Board of Trustees. This action item is about the textbook rental and supplemental fees for next school year. So presenting the instruction action item this evening will be Assistant Principal from Penn High School, Mr. Josiah Parker.
Thank you, Dr. Thacker, President Riley, members of the board. It's great to see you all again on our wonderful summer break. I am here to represent our Penn High School Teaching and Learning Committee and request fee changes for the 22-23 school year. I do want to give just a couple of notes before I turn over for questions. We took some of our supply fees and broke them apart into two different fee types. So you'll see a new fee called a consumable fee. It's not an additional fee. It's taking the existing fee and just splitting it. But that allows our families who qualify for free and reduced lunch, they will be able to receive some additional state assistance for those supply fees by doing that. So it helps our families out. I also like to point out that at the high school level, the fee is 100% dictated by students' choice in the courses they take. So it's really hard to give an exact number on what could change because it'll differ from student to student. I did pull a whole bunch of kind of general fees, look at several students' schedules and added fees up, and we have about a 2% increase, just over a 2% increase by looking at all of those fee examples that we chose. And we did not do any fee adjustments last year. Just a reminder for that. So any questions I can answer for you on this agenda item?
Board members, questions or comments?
I have a couple. Thank you, Mr. Parker. So I really appreciated that you took a cross section of our student body and tried to give us, I think it was like 7 or 8 examples of what prototypic students' fees might be. Fine arts emphasis student, a CTE oriented student. So my one question was related to the student fees for the honor student,
okay,
which were significantly higher than all the other fees. So I guess and I understand that part of that is probably because you wrap AP courses into the cost of the class, or you wrap the cost of the AP test into that so that parents don't have to sign their kids up for the test. You all sign them up, which I appreciate.
Correct.
My concern, and I just want to make sure we've thought carefully about this, is whether or not we are deterring students from taking honors tracking towards honors or taking AP classes. Have we thought about that? Is there a way to offset the cost for students that might, I just want to make sure that this isn't preventing a child
Sure.
from taking the most rigorous course load that they want to take.
Again, it would be dependent on what the student takes. So one example on there was an AP student or honor student that had a 0.2% increase.
Okay.
And there was another honor student that had a little bit higher increase. So it's, they could see or they could not.
The percentage was the smallest. I'm glad you pointed that out.
Yeah.
The percentage increase was the smallest for that student. I'm really glad you pointed that out. But the overall fee was very expensive for that student. And I just want to make sure that I want to make sure that not a single student at Penn High School says, I'm not going to take that class because I can't afford it.
Sure. Yeah, the
Have
AP.
you examined that if this
Yeah.
is accidentally deterring students from taking.
Yeah, and that's part of the change in the consumable fee. That'll help by separating some of those fees out. There are certain AP exams, all of our core classes that the state actually covers that exam fee. And the learning division covers several AP exam fees for our students that are free and reduced as well. So there's a lot of assistance in there if needed.
And our students know about this assistance?
it happens automatically.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Roach. Other questions, concerns? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the school year textbook rental and supplemental fees for the 2022-2023 school year for Penn High School?
So moved.
A second?
All those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Any opposed vote nay. Motion carries by a vote of 4-0. Mr. Parker, always good to see you. Move on to our next item, which is discussion item. Dr. Thacker.
Thank you, President Riley and Board of Trustees. It's an exciting discussion item. We're pleased to present to the board tonight Penn High School presentation on a proposed trip to Costa Rica, spring break 2025. Here to present for us tonight from Penn High School, teacher Bennett Blazo. Mr. Bennett Blazo.
Awesome. This clicker works. Awesome. All right. So good evening, Dr. Thacker, President Riley, and board members. I am Bennett Blazo, and thank you for having me this evening so I can present to you a trip proposal Early College has for Costa Rica. If approved, I would serve as the tour director and have an open enrollment for the junior, senior cohorts for this trip. Here, we would travel to San Jose, Arnold, Manuel Antonio National Park, and coastal Punta Arenas. Here you can see some brief background information about me. I've been teaching at Penn High School for 6 years, been to multiple Latin American countries such as Peru, Nicaragua, Dominican Republic, and Costa Rica. I led the Unified Initiative here, which started a great program, Unified Track and Field. I've established a relationship with all of these students as I have had them all freshman year. And I am the early college freshman SLC leader. Being a geography teacher at Penn, I feel it is very important to provide my students with an opportunity to learn about other cultures across the world that I cannot offer in my classroom. My students have participated in Skype sessions with classrooms around the world. We have exchanged cultural boxes with some of these classes around the world, and even did some pen paling with some of the students. The objective behind this trip is to present students with a chance to participate in a unique opportunity to gain cultural awareness of Costa Rica that they could only receive visiting the country in person. In early college, our kiddos participate in field trips that involve community volunteer projects, college visits, and team building activities. One of the favorites is when our seniors are given a celebration field trip for their hard work on achieving their associate's degree and or Indiana College Core. This past year, students went to Chicago and visited the Pullman National Monument, the DuSable Museum, Mexican Museum of Art, and a White Sox game. I did not approve of the White Sox game. I'd rather go to the Cubbies, but oh well. While open to all students, Early College model specifically serves low-income young people, first-generation college students, English language learners, and students of color, all of whom are statistically underrepresented when it comes to international travel. It is important to show the value of what the students are learning within the Early College Academy by taking them to places around the world to apply the skills they have learned here. Some of those skills, and these are just some because there's many, they're Spanish speaking, as students will have had 3 or 4 years of Spanish, and some of those are college level Spanish classes. Their knowledge of 2 years of biology, speaking and communication skills they have gained from their speech class, and their relationship building skills they develop after 4 years together, or 3 if they're juniors. So why Explorica? So I got this recommendation from Jeannie Mitchell, and she has used it from past international trips. They provide some great services that I think would be great for these students, as if they lost their passport, if there's an injury, if there is a cancel flight, they will cover the costs. So if kid has to go home right away because of a death in a family, it is covered. If there's an injury and they have to go to the hospital, it is covered. They also provide 3 convenient online payment options. They have an online tour diary, which at the end of every single day, kids will be logging in what they did throughout the day so their parents, family, friends at home can see what they did. And safety and security, some peace of mind right there. Liability policy for all participants, background checks for all tour guides, drivers, and hotels, and strict adherence to travel and safety guidelines from the Department of Homeland Security. So the Department of Homeland Security has a 4-point safety ranking throughout the world. One, exercise normal precautions. If you're here in the United States, you have a 1. But when we go to Costa Rica, it's a level 2. We have to increase caution. This in caution is because there's crime. Now, when I went on and read about why it's a level 2, it says while petty crime is the predominant threat for tourists in Costa Rica, that is limited to tourist areas. But Costa Rican government provides additional security resources in areas frequented by tourists, so everyone is safe. So again, I am going to San Jose, Arnold, Costa Punta Arenas, Manuel Antonio National Park, and here's the itinerary. So the tour itinerary, day 1, we fly from Chicago O'Hare to Costa Rica, San Jose. We meet the tour director and check into a hotel in that evening. Day 2, we kind of explore San Jose. We go to a couple coffee plantations, tour to learn how the country's elevation, ecosystem, and volcanic history have impacted their coffee beans. And then we spend a good portion of the day traveling to Arnold. Day 3, Arnold landmarks. We go on to the Lake Arnold, experience some biodiversity, some of the most complex biodiversity, and see some of the fauna that is produced by the volcanic activity from the Arnold volcano. We will also be visiting some hot springs and geysers that are active, that are not too far from the volcano at a local national park. Day 4, Arnold to Costa Punta Arenas. Here we'll have a boat tour through the Rio Grande and learn about the fauna and the flora of the river. From the finish of the boat tour, we'll end up at a private beach, which I put Atlantic Ocean, it's Pacific Ocean, where we'll experience leatherback turtles kicking off their nesting season. Day 5, continuing at Costa Punta Arenas. We're going to volunteer at a wildlife rescue, participate in a variety of activities to assist staff with animal care before release into their natural habitat. I made sure that sloths are going to be part of that because they're one of my favorite animals. Day 6, Manuel Antonio National Park. Here, we're going to explore the caves and inlets of the national park and being accompanied with sloths on this tour. Again, pretty exciting right there. After this, we'll be going to a local school, visiting elementary age children and participate in lessons and recess with them. And some of our kids will be able to lead some lessons too. Day 7, Costa Punta Arenas to San Jose. Here, we'll have a canopy zipline tour where we'll zip from tree to tree where you will stop and learn about Costa Rican history from the leader who's in charge. After this, towards the evening, we'll have a folklore event. We're going to sit back and surround ourselves with colorful culture during an evening of fine food and fiestas, or fiesta. Day 8, Costa Punta Arenas, we're already gone there, so we're in San Jose by now. Here we're going to have a riverboat excursion in the morning where we'll see some toucans, herons, and iguanas, and some basilisk lizards that run on water. In the evening, we will fly back home to Chicago. Overall, for this entire Costa Rican experience, it comes with a price of $2,842 for 8 days. It includes hotels, airfare, lunch, all the food, and tons of nice people too. With this trip being planned for 2025, it gives myself, along with fellow teachers Sarah Dwiggins and Danielle Black, plenty of time to hold multiple fundraisers to help reduce this price. At this time, I will take any questions that you may have.
Man,
I
it looks like an
volunteer. I was
awesome
like,
trip. I volunteer too.
Since this is 3 years out, that is a guaranteed price.
Yes, it locks in and it stays that price. I have to December to lock in this price, and this price will not budge whatsoever for the kids. So if air flights skyrocket up, we're not going to see any of that effect. Explorica will take the damage.
Well, Danielle Black promised us that your presentation would be outstanding.
No,
You
she
have met
said
the
it will.
expectation. That looks like an amazing trip. Thank you so much for planning it. I know you'll be coming back when we eventually vote to approve the trip, but for now, do I have a motion to authorize the planning and preparation for the high school trip to Costa Rica for spring break 2025 as presented?
I so move.
Second.
All those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Any opposed vote nay. Motion carries by a vote of 4-0. Look forward to seeing you. Thank you so
All
much,
right,
Mr.
thank you,
Walsh.
everyone.
Approval of the high school trip to Costa Rica for the spring break of 2025 will be brought back before the board for approval at a future board meeting once all the details have been finalized. We'll move on to the instruction reports for this evening. Dr. Thacker.
Thank you, President Riley and Board of Trustees. We have some great information for you tonight. Principal Sean Gallagher, along with members of his administrative team, Mrs. Rachel Fry, Mr. Josiah Parker, and Mr. Jeff Hart, joined us this evening to present their year-end report on the great work that's taken place at Penn High School this past year and their plans to focus on continuous growth for next year. Mr. Gallagher, welcome.
Well, thank you for inviting us back. It's an honor to be here tonight. Good evening, Dr. Thacker, President Riley, and members of the board. So we're excited to share our second semester achievement report with you for the 21-22 school year. And just to start, I think it's important to recognize that this accomplishment cannot happen without amazing students, families, and of course, dedicated staff. I know we have a few here tonight. Of course, Mr. Blazo presented a wonderful opportunity for our kids. We have great teachers trying to make a difference every single day for our students. So as I think about the class of 2022, so what were they doing as sophomores? They had the end of the year cut short, had a tough last year, and of course, this year was not normal by any means. So when we think about their high school experience, they have persevered and came out with wonderful highlights to celebrate. So these are just a few. I'm not going to read all of these to you, but as you can see, the class of 2022 achieved excellence in many areas. Of course, we have our valedictorians and 5 salutatorians, and we have our Paul H. Schmucker Award winner, Cole Black, Danielle's son, which is exciting. And of course, we had over $11 million in scholarships earned by our senior class, which is fantastic, one of the highest numbers we've had in a long time. And as I think about our academic all-star, Hala Ansari, that's one of 40 students in the state. And there's a lot of students that go to school in Indiana, and that's pretty amazing. And then we had one U.S. Presidential Scholar semifinalist, Matthew Zhang. And I think we've recognized our Lilly Scholarship winners already, but their names are there as a reminder. And we have several students entering the military, which is fantastic. So I'm proud of our senior class. They'll do great things for the community as they move on to their next journey. Of course, our graduation rate is something we measure every single year, and we're fortunate to continue to be in the 97% range, and we will be there again at the end of the 2022 cohort timeline. And again, that's a tribute to their perseverance during a tough high school career. So as we think about our school improvement goals, and I mentioned a few here just to remind you, of course, we're trying to maintain a 95% graduation rate, and then we look at success on our academic standardized testing. So we took the SAT this year, our junior cohort, and while those results are still embargoed, I look forward to sharing those results when I'm able to. Of course, we continue to improve our social and emotional supports and strengthen our cultural competencies in our building, and then we continue to focus on professional development and improve our persistent attendee rate. So those are just a few of the things that are ongoing for us. So when we think about college and career readiness, which is one of those metrics, I think I reported early in the year that our 2022 cohort, we were at about a 70% anticipated college and career readiness rate, and we ended up right around 76%. And just as a reminder, that's the number of seniors who earn at least a dual credit on their transcript or score a 3 or higher on an AP exam. So you can see here the state benchmark, it's kind of hard to see there at the bottom, is 25%. So I think we're doing pretty well when we compare to other schools across the state. And honors diploma graduates, again, I mentioned, our students, our senior group had a rough couple years, but we had just at 49% of our students who earned that academic honors diploma, which is a fantastic achievement for those students. So we are proud of them. And as a reminder, as we think about academic achievement, one of the things I like to do is share, as we look at the cut scores for the SAT, those have not been determined yet. I think it's late July, they'll let us know. And then we'll be able to kind of do some comparisons locally and throughout the state as we evaluate how our students performed. AP results will be available later this summer, and I look forward to sharing those early next fall. But I do have some data to report. So WIDA, we're able to report out that our average WIDA score for our students that took the exam this year was a 3.86, which is right on par, as you can see, over the last several years. And we had 3 students at the high school level that were able to test out, which is great for them.
Mr. Gallagher,
Yeah.
which students are taking the WIDA test? Our English learners?
Yes.
Anybody else? It's just, we're just talking our English learners.
Just, yes, our ELL students, yes. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
All right, so this is a metric that I've shared a few times since the challenges of the last few years, is just looking at student grades. And as you can see on there, I want to start with the 9th grade on track data. So at this time last year, at the end of the 2021 school year, we had about 89% of our 9th grade students that were on track. And just a reminder, on track simply means they have achieved at least 10 credit. They have earned at least 10 credits over the course of their freshman year. And so that current cohort at the end of their sophomore year, they're up to 94% now, which is great. But as you can see, our current freshman class, the 21-22, they are at 93.5%, and they were at 92.7 in the fall. So we're seeing growth there, which is great. It's a tribute to the hard work that they're putting forth in the classroom. And I know it's kind of hard to see the grades, but you can see the grade distribution across all of our students at Penn High School. So there's over 24,000 grades. And you can see the last darker kind of orange color, the number of students who are not meeting the expectation of the course has gone down significantly, which is great. So that means we have more students that are on track for graduation. All right, so I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Rachel Fry, who will talk a little bit about AP class enrollment.
Thank you, Mr. Gallagher. Another piece of data that we like to look at is AP enrollment. So like most schools, we saw a little decrease in student participation in more challenging courses like AP and dual credit as a result of the pandemic. So strategically then we used PSAT data to identify students who had AP and dual credit potential and which specific courses they had that potential in. And we communicated that out with families and encouraged students to take on that challenge. And so we are excited to see heading back up in the right directions with students taking on those challenge, and the dual credit numbers or enrollment would match this as well in seeing a rise. So that is promising. As Mr. Gallagher mentioned, the 2022 AP results will be released soon, and call me what you will, I get really excited for when data comes out and we get to dig through and take a moment to celebrate successes, but more importantly, look at opportunities for growth and plan for the future. So very, very exciting. We have now 5 cohorts of graduates from our early college academy. So you can see some change over time there. I'd like to point out then the blue portion of that graph is students who have earned their Associates of General Studies degree from Ivy Tech in their time here with us at Penn High School. The red is that Indiana College Core. So that is the 30 block of freshman college credits. And then the gold color designate students who earn 15 or more credits, but not all the way up to the 30 or 60 to earn a credential. So we are continuing to see growth, and that is really, really exciting. There was quite a big jump in our associates this last cohort, so we were very much celebrating that. However, as a whole, early college programs are really focusing on that combined blue and red chunk there, to the number of students that are getting a credential either freshman year or sophomore year. So looking at that total, we had 90 students earn that this year, which is a huge reason for celebration. So there is a bunch of them with celebrating their commencement at Ivy Tech prior to then celebrating graduation with their classmates at Penn High School. This year was a re-endorsement year for our Early College Academy. So you'll see there are 8 core principles, and those are what they use to evaluate our program, give feedback, and decide whether or not we would be endorsed through the Center of Excellence in Leadership in Learning out of the University of Indianapolis. So I'd just like to read a quick statement from the Director of Early College Programs out of SEL. She says, this is Sandy Hillman. To be considered for re-endorsement, the school prepared a portfolio that addressed 8 required principles established by SEL, including providing a rigorous curriculum, robust student supports, and completion data. In addition, a SEL team visited the school virtually to interview administration, teachers, and students about early college and its benefits and challenges before designated the program as re-endorsed. Re-endorsed early college high schools have documented evidence of quality programs that help high school students graduate and accelerate on to post-secondary education, whether at a 4-year institution, 2-year college, or a career and technical program. These students' accomplishments are true game changers for them and their families. This dynamic program at Penn High School created and adjusted the vision and implements the mission on a daily basis. So we're very proud of that feedback. And like I said, we get excited for growth opportunities too. So we're already looking at, different shifts and things we can make based on their very thorough review of our program and specific feedback. So we look forward to welcoming our 10th cohort of early college in the fall. It seems a little bit unbelievable, but at the same time, we can celebrate just surpassing over $10 million in all-time savings as a result of this academy and the credentials that students have earned through either their Indiana College Core or associate's degree. One of my favorite things about Penn High School, it's always fun. When we interview teachers, a lot of times their question for us is, what do you love about Penn High School? And sometimes it's hard to narrow that down. But one thing I love is I think there are so many valuable programs that we have to meet the needs of every different student. So while early college is wonderful, Penway is another great opportunity that meets the needs of so many of our learners. Many students are thriving in this alternative environment due to staff keeping a focus on relationships. Daily credits continue to rise, and we continue to have success with Jobs for America's graduates, successfully developing a JAG grad pathway for students, helping them prepare for their futures. Penway staff is looking to expand Work One's role by having the JAG teacher and the night school coordinator work together to refer night school graduates to training and job placements through Work One. So you can see here then that just a couple of weeks ago, Penway graduated 41 seniors, which is 98%, and 14 juniors were early graduates. 27 participated in the JAG program that I just referenced, and Penway enrolled approximately 100 new students this school year. So in all of the different things that we have going on at Penn, faculty really comes together to focus and thrive on professional growth and learning in their own different roles within the buildings and how we work with students. So our instructional leaders at Penn continued this tradition this year based on observed needs, but also feedback from teachers. Teachers this year said, let's go back and focus and get back in touch with our content groups. So while the monthly PD topics that you see listed there were the same throughout the entire building to keep us all on the same page, there were little tweaks to make them personalized and most appropriate for the specific content areas. And those groups then, like I said, worked together each month. New teacher PD is also on there. It looked a little different this year as we tried to keep teachers in the classroom as much as possible. But we always, I think, do a really wonderful job of welcoming our new staff members in, supporting them through mentorship program, monthly check-ins with the principal, as well as ongoing professional development related to teaching and learning. So I will now turn it over to my colleague, Assistant Principal Mr. Parker, who will share some achievements related to problem-based learning and community partnerships.
Can I ask you one quick question?
Yes.
First? So I now know what the March Madness is.
What is the 5 in and 5 out?
So that is, well, it always makes me giggle because as a math teacher, we always called it this, but it's truthfully vertical articulation. So it is teachers looking from one grade to the next and making sure we know this is exactly what our students, these are the 5 core things we need them to come in knowing and being able to do. And then these are the 5 things we guarantee that they will leave having mastered and ready for the next level. English teachers call them promises and wishes or something like that. And math teachers call them 5 in, 5 out. So it's vertical articulation and just a way for us to stay connected and make sure it's a smooth transition for students as they progress academically.
Awesome. So this is a really remarkable list. It's hit significant bins within the field, what we know we need to work on. It's also a lot. So my question is, are we like something like building strong relationships? How do we ensure that August isn't a shot in the arm that we then don't ever talk about again throughout the year? How are we recycling these topics? Or maybe another way to ask that question is, are 2 or 3 of these prioritized as like our top foci for the year, or how?
So that's a good question. I feel, we have a large teaching staff. So just like students, there's a lot of differentiation needed, different levels of experience of all of our teachers. So the instructional leaders this year created a Canvas course. And so there's a kind of a mini pre-work portion to each one of these, by which maybe they're watching a little video, reading an article, engaging in some type of collegial dialogue that leads up to it. And then after the session that month, there's opportunity for follow-up within their content areas. And then as well, our instructional leaders meet pretty consistently so they can kind of gather that feedback and that pulse on the building. For example, I know that I can tell you that all of these were not planned in August or September, as much as maybe that would have been nice for us. We take that feedback from the teachers and from students as well, really, to hear and think about what we need to focus on and sometimes slow down, pause, or weave back in, as you mentioned, to future months.
Excellent. And did these topics align with what building administrators are looking for when they go in to do teacher observations?
Yeah, we have a few different levels of observation. So always encouraging teachers to get into one another's classrooms, although we know time is always limited. That's the dream. So we do snapshots of the building as well, where we might kind of try to make sure we get into every classroom for a few minutes in this 3-day period and really focus on exactly one topic. Maybe it's formative assessment or student-to-student collaboration, and then take that data and bring it together. So those observations occur with our teacher leaders as well as administrative staff.
So these priorities we're digging into them. We're sinking our teeth into them. They're not just once a month topics to talk about.
That is correct.
Excellent. One other side I want to go back to for a minute. Well, it's actually not, it was in some information that I was looking at and preparing for this meeting, was the AP scores. So I see that our AP score average has gone down.
So enrollment, like on this?
No,
chart?
I think it is. I'd have to go back up. Anyway, we can revisit this. I guess my question, my general question for Penn leadership is, I mean, you all know, preach the choir, it's hard to teach an AP course. Like, these are very complex courses. It usually takes several years of teaching one to get really good at it. I know we've had some clutch retirements of people that are, we're doing amazing work. Are we really throwing the kitchen sink at making sure that our newer AP instructors are participating in AP TIP, are, going to conferences to get really good at this? And can we do something to turn that trend upwards?
Yeah, so I'm interested in what data you're speaking about. I'm happy to follow up with you about that. There are, like always, a lot of different ways to look at the feedback. If we, in terms of the supports they have, yes, it is not required that teachers to teach AP courses attend the conference anymore. It used to be pretty rigorous to become an AP teacher, and that's just not the case anymore. I'm proud to say, and thank you for supporting it, that our AP teachers attend the summer training. So they're connecting with colleagues from across the state while also learning what they need to learn in order to be prepared to teach the course accordingly. There's also been an increase in, again, one of those positives that came from the pandemic is there's a really a great, robust online platform for students and teachers to access. So teachers are collaborating not only with their peers within the building that teach AP courses, but those from around, the state and the nation. So that has been another increased level of support, I would say. So, but I'm happy to talk with you on the specifics.
Was slide 10.
Okay.
AP performance, and I don't know if
It's
this
on
has-
it's on our slides. I don't think it's on.
Oh, these are the
Yeah,
abbreviated.
I mean, this is really complex.
It was
The one-
AP students with 3+ scores.
I can comment
So
on
was
that.
that, is that a?
That's a slide that we're gonna update later.
Okay.
This slide's not up here, it's a skip slide.
Okay. It's just that AP scores, are nationally normed. So it's sort of like, they're always just snapshots. And we know that a lot of these students, all of those courses that we're heading up into prepping them for the eventuality of an AP course, that foundation was a little rocked by disruptions to schooling and the like. It's just that, I'd like to make sure that it's not often that I see trend lines go in this direction in Penn. I see it, and it's not that significant. It's not catastrophic. It's just something that I want to make sure we throw some attention.
Certainly. And as soon as we get the data from this year, we'll dig in and share that as well. The platform this year for AP testing was back to normal. The last 2 years, testing
That's
was
right.
done in an online environment. 1 year that was at home. 1 year we opted to bring students in last year. So we had some variables as well. And it was nice to get back to normal this year in terms of that testing environment. And so we look to see results
Awesome.
looking
And then
similar to
just congrats to everybody working at Penway. 98% graduation rate and that average credit going up. I mean, that's amazing work. Hats off to them and hats off to those students.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello again. So I get to share some more great things that are happening at Penn High School. With our Project Lead the Way courses, we earned a Distinguished School Award this year. So Project Lead the Way includes our pathways in engineering, biomedical sciences, and computer science. Project Lead the Way is the organization that we kind of run our courses through. It's a national organization. So this kind of gives us recognition for increasing the access to our students, increasing access to all students, especially underrepresented students, having students take multiple courses within a pathway, students do well on an end of course assessment that's written by Project Lead the Way, a national test. So it's been a great thing for our engineering, computer science, and biomedical science courses. Our robotics team won the Chairman's Award again this year. It qualified them for the state competition. The Chairman's Award for robotics is kind of the big award. The robot itself is sort of the secondary award if you win that. This is the big one. This shows just building and promoting first engineering, robotics, anything in that realm to the community and to the country at a bigger stance. So this really has come from our mission to engineer work with students are working with individuals with disabilities, children with disabilities, finding ways to help them and make their lives a little easier and reaching out to our community. So that was a great award for our team and great for Mr. Langfeld to get on his way out. I want to do a quick work-based learning spotlight. Sydney Little, one of our amazing Lady Kingsmen on the basketball court. She worked with Frost Engineering. Thank you, Dr. Linsky, for helping us make that connection. And she took a civil engineering class at Penn. And what we were able to do was get her in this job with Frost Engineering, and she went there instead of the class and probably got way more out of it than we can teach in our classes at high school. And she worked with the company to do some civil engineering projects for the rest of the second semester. She earned a grade and credit for that class as well by doing that work. So it was a great partner, great student, and it worked out amazingly. I also want to give you a quick update on work-based learning grant that we received through the Chamber of Commerce. All the local high schools have kind of come together to create a work-based learning plan so we all look the same. So if a company hires a student from Penn or Riley or any other local schools, they're going to see similar paperwork, similar expectations. So it makes it a little bit easier for them to take our students on and to do some of that work-based learning experiences. So we're really excited for that to start in the fall. Our academic championships, we had our English academic Super Bowl team that won state. We had top 10 academic programs, or we are a top 10 academic program, and our MathCon team won the most outstanding high school at the MathCon International Finals. that happened in Chicago. You can see there are several awards that we won there. For the English Academic Super Bowl, our coach, Miss Candace Bielert, gave us a little bit of input on that. The competition was virtual this year, and the students are required to read and study multiple sources in preparation for the invitational, regional, and the state. There's always an overarching theme for the entire competition, no matter the subject follows. This year, I just lost my train of thought. The Year of the Women was the theme for this year. Penn's English team studied novels, short stories, poetry by a diverse range of women. They were given 25 multiple choice questions, and they had 20 seconds to answer each one of those questions once the question was read. So they had to know their stuff and be very quick with those answers. So Mrs. Bielert was very proud of the students, the 5 students that won that competition. Our speech and debate team also went to the nationals this year. We had 9 students that qualified for the national tournament. Marita Kulkarni placed in the top 25 in the nation in the Lincoln Douglas debate. So great turnout for Amrita, other students in the speech and debate. And now I'd like to turn this over to Jeff Hart from the Ohio State University. Please don't hold that against me.
That's why they don't give me academic things to say. But no, thank you for having me here tonight. I really appreciate the celebration and the recognition of our baseball program. It means a lot to the coaches, certainly, and to those young student athletes. I'm going to be short and sweet tonight. Our spring semester athletics were outstanding. And it always starts as student athletes in an education-based athletic environment. How are they doing in school? And so 389 student athletes participate in spring sports. Their average grade point average is 3.52. And as it says up there, the high school average is a little over 3. So about a half grade better. In fact, I wrote down some notes here. In fact, all 21 of our IHSA sports teams had an average GPA above the school average during this last school year, including 6 programs that had an average GPA of 3.72 or above. And this, for each of these programs on the list, it's varsity, JV, and freshmen. So there's a lot of kids. So softball, girls cross country, volleyball, girls tennis, girls soccer, and boys tennis. So just outstanding performance by these kids in the classroom. Individual recognition. We had numerous student athletes that received recognition for being selected to all conference, all academic, and all state teams. Alec Hardrick, who was all-state running back for us, was the MVP, conference MVP in boys track and field. We had 2 conference coaches of the year, Chad Wetzel in his first year teaching and coaching at Penn and boys track and field, and Beth Zachary, our longtime Hall of Fame softball coach, was also NIC Coach of the Year. Mike Paquette finished 3rd in the state in the discus. And of course, as you guys saw earlier, Ben Gregory won the IHA's Mental Attitude Award just minutes after throwing a complete game shutout in the state title game. Notably, Ben is the 27th Kingsman to win this prestigious award, breaking a string of 3 straight girls soccer players to win. I don't know how that got on that note, but college signings. We had 42 senior student athletes in an astounding 18 different sports commit to play college athletics starting this fall. Some of them have already left for school. That's a lot. That's a lot of kids. It's a lot of sports. It's a lot of coaching. And they'll take their academic and athletic talents developed here in the PHM system to colleges and universities from California to the East Coast. And then finally, great tournament success for our 7 spring teams. During the entire school year, we had 21 teams that competed in sectional postseason tournaments, and 18 of them won sectionals. That's easily the best in the state. Our 7 spring sports maintained and certainly raised the success achieved. Girls track and boys track and field, multiple state qualifiers. Unified track and field, Coach Blazo was here a little while ago, finished 5th at state, and they were literally a drop baton away from being state champions. So that's how they were only a couple points out of bringing home a state championship. Softball, Final Four team, lost in the Final Four. Boys golf finished 12th at state with a pretty young team. And then, of course, baseball ended it with a state title in the state's last event of the year. And so very exciting year. And we're extremely excited for this next school year. And you know, kids are out working hard this summer already. So thanks for having us. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jeff. All right, so to conclude, I just want to remind everyone as we think about school improvement and ongoing growth. 5 years ago, my first year at Penn, we went through accreditation through Advanced Ed, and they identified two kind of major goals for us to consider and think about as we look ahead, and that was to develop a clearly defined professional development structure that specifically addresses instructional practices that will positively impact student learning. And so we were able to accomplish that through our instructional playbook that we developed, I think it was 4 years ago. And so our professional development continues to be tailored towards that instructional playbook and instructional practices. And then the second major goal was to design, integrate, and evaluate a formal structure for students to build relationships with an adult who will support their educational experience. And of course, that's ongoing with all of their classes and their teachers. But we did introduce an advisory curriculum 4 years ago where we implement our advisory curriculum there. So we were able to do that, and we'll continue to do that in the next several years. So we look forward to next school year, going through our next round of accreditation during the 22-23 school year, and looking forward to feedback in terms of what we can focus on next. All right, and lastly, you will see here that Penn High School, I think this was introduced in April, was once again named a 2022 Best Public High School. So we're proud of that accomplishment. Of course, #1 in the area, #20 in the state. And so they've kind of adjusted the metrics a little bit. So I know it's hard to see on the slide, but this data is always in the rear. So I think it's 2019, 18-19 data that we're looking at. But they also they're going to add a new metric, the science proficiency. So that's our biology I-Learn assessment will be a new measure that they look at in addition to the graduation rate and of course the SAT performance by our students. And then of course our AP results. So we're excited. That's a tribute to all of our wonderful students and our teachers. So that concludes our achievement report for tonight. Thank you for your time, and we'd be happy to answer any questions.
Board members, any other questions or comments for Mr. Gallagher?
Mr. Gallagher, commencement was one of the most positive experiences of my life as a parent. That I wouldn't have changed, except maybe that fall. I would not have changed a thing about that evening. I think the community was beaming with pride, really, at what our students have done. 50%, nearly 50% earning honors diplomas.
Yeah.
You know, it's really remarkable. So as a parent and school board member, thank you and all your team for all of your extraordinary work.
It's great to be back there to celebrate the packed house. It was fun.
You know, Manal, when she was student ambassador, always had such a great way of putting things. And tonight in her video presentation, in reflecting on her career at Penn High School, she just used one word, and it was gratitude. In looking at your presentation and all of the achievements that Penn High School has reached, that word is circulating in my mind too. Thank you, Mr. Gallagher, for all of your work. We are grateful. Thank you, Mr. Parker, for all of your work. We're grateful. Mr. Hart, we're grateful for your work, and Mrs. Fry, for you too. We're grateful for all the teachers at Penn High School and all the administrators. Grateful for all the parents and all the students whose collaborative efforts have resulted in a 29-slide presentation of enormous achievements. Thank you so much for being here tonight for this great presentation and for all you guys are doing at Penn High School. It's great to see you again.
Yep. Thank you.
This item was presented for informational purposes only this evening, and we'll move on to our next item, which is a business operational services action item. Dr. Thacker.
Thank you, President Riley and Board of Trustees. Our Chief Operating Officer, Dr. Aaron Linsky, will present the first business action item for us this evening with the awarding of bids for some of our 2022 capital building improvement projects. Dr. Linsky?
Thank you, Dr. Thacker. Good evening, President Riley, members of the board. The administration recommends awarding 3 items that are appearing tonight before you. The first item is for Horizon Elementary and Discovery Middle School, a fire alarm and panel replacement. These improvements were identified and recommended for replacement during the annual fire inspection. And this is really related to those parts becoming no longer available as they're upgrading. They're just older systems that were put in the mid-90s. The project was priced utilizing a Sourcewell cooperative purchasing agreement, and we are recommending Johnson Controls for these projects. It's $231,650.05. If approved, the projects would begin in July, and we hope that they'll be completed sometime in November. The second item is for construction of a new pedestrian canopy entrance at Penn High School. This structure is very similar to the one that we put in at Walt Disney Elementary just a few years ago. And as you will note, many of our schools were starting to put those canopies at the front entrance. And that's at the request of our patrons who often visit our schools and have to navigate those paths. And because of our safety and security, sometimes are outside for a bit of time, and we want to make sure that we're being good stewards as well as creating a safe environment for them to enter. It also includes some other replacement of the original benches that have cracked out there, and of course we'll be disrupting some areas, so we'll have to improve those areas that are disrupted. Construction, if passed, will begin in August. So that will happen during the school year, and the contractor will erect a safe passage to door A, so we will not lose our ability to use that door during construction. We worked with architect Mike Ship, and we solicited 6 bids. We were pleased to get 4, and we recommend awarding the project to the lowest, most responsive bidder, Larson Danielson Construction, for $634,000. The third item is for rigging improvements at Penn High School, and as you may recall, over a year ago, we approved a new CPA orchestra shell, and due to various labor, material, manufacturing, all those delays, we weren't able to get that manufactured until this spring. And as they were doing final calculations, there's additional rigging improvements that need to be installed to safely operate that shell. And so the administration recommends awarding the project to Associated Controls and Design for $68,406.50. These improvements will be done this summer so that orchestra shell can get installed hopefully by the fall. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Terrific. Thank you, Dr. Linsky. Board members, any questions or comments? Hearing none, there are 3 motions that I'll present, and we'll take one single vote on each motion at a time. Do I have a motion to award new fire alarm components and panel improvements at Horizon Elementary and Discovery Middle School in the amount of $102,650.05 at Horizon and in the amount of $129,000 at Discovery for a total amount of $231,650.05 to Johnson Controls. Award the construction of a new pedestrian canopy at Door A at Penn High School in the amount of $634,000 to Larson Danielson Construction Company, Inc., and award rigging improvements at the Penn High School Center for Performing Arts in the amount of $68,406.50 to Associated Controls Plus Design.
So move.
All those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Any opposed vote nay. Motion carries by a vote of 4-0. Thank you, Dr. Linsky. Don't go far. We'll move on to our approval of purchase of special purpose activity school buses. Dr. Thacker.
Thank you, President Riley and Board of Trustees. Dr. Linsky is going to continue with this next agenda item with a request to purchase 3 new special purpose activity school buses. Dr. Linsky?
Thank you, Dr. Thacker. The new special purpose school buses are the smaller buses. They allow us to transport smaller groups of students. One of those buses that will be purchased will have a wheelchair lift that can serve our physically disabled students and also our students who may have injuries that we need to either get to school or take to field trips. We often have to take like a bus and a little bit, and so this will help bridge that gap for so many of our groups. We also do, as Mr. Parker was explaining, we have a lot of kids in different work-based experiences, both gen ed students as well as our young adults. And so this gives us a lot more flexibility to service those populations. So we do recommend approval from Curlin Bus Sales and Leasing for the 3 buses for $215,892.
Board members?
Dr. Linsky,
Yes, sir.
how many wheelchair positions are in the vehicle?
Positions in the vehicle, I think I gave a breakdown. I think
So
there.
is it 1 plus
Yeah.
1, or is it just?
I
one
believe
overall?
we can customize that, depending on the number that we would like to have. Obviously, the more positions that we erect, the less.
Sometimes you do temporary
additional capacity.
seating to allow for a second
Correct.
position.
So,
I was just curious.
I believe it's flexible, and I
What's your
think, I want to say it's up to 3, but I can certainly follow up on that.
I'm just curious.
Other questions or comments? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the purchase of 3 new special purpose activity school buses from Curlin Bus Sales and Services in the amount of $215,892 as presented?
I so move.
Second.
All those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Any opposed vote nay. Motion carries by a vote of 4-0. Thank you again, Dr. Linsky. We'll move on to the approval of renewal of Sodexo contract. Dr. Thacker.
Thank you, President Riley, Board of Trustees. Dr. Linsky is also going to continue with this next agenda item.
Thank you, Dr. Thacker. The administration requests your approval to extend the contract with Sodexo. We've had over a 20-year partnership with Sodexo. They manage our custodial services. They handle all of our human resources, business services, general supervision of those staff. And we run 3 shifts at the high school. We run 2 shifts at the majority of our other schools. And so that's a huge operation, and Jim Dayoff and his staff do an outstanding job. We are entering the final year of a previously approved 3-year agreement. We're simply asking for an extension of that by 2 years to continue with a 3-year. And that includes also adding an evening supervisor position, as that's become more critical as we focus on the health and safety of our buildings. So the cost increase over the 2021 contract is 4.8%. And that's in line with the employee cost index, which is what we previously had approved. And so we'll continue that same agreement as we extend it for 3 years. One other change, and it's a last change, is we are increasing the on-call substitute to be $21 per hour, which matches what we're currently paying our custodians.
Thank you, Dr. Linsky. Board members, any questions or comments?
Just make sure I have it clear. We're entering year 3. This would be adding year 4 and 5.
That is correct.
At the termination of year 5, would there be an open call? Or what is the standard procedure around issuing another request for proposals? Or in year 5, are you asking to then extend to year 6 and 7?
Yeah, so we'll bring that back to you. We've kind of taken the contract as historically been in 3-year increments. There was a period of time as we worked with Sodexo and some challenges that we had shortened that window. And so we'll certainly, if we evaluate that every single year to determine whether or not Sodexo continues to provide the best service for Penn-Harris-Madison.
Other questions or comments? Do I have a motion to approve the renewal of the Sodexo contract in the amount of $869,084.66 as presented?
I so move.
Second.
All those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Any opposed vote nay. Motion also carries by a vote of 4-0. And again, thank you, Dr. Linsky. We'll move on to our next business action item, Dr. Thacker.
Thank you, President Riley, Board of Trustees. Executive Director of Business Services, Mr. Jerry Hawkins, will share with us the next business action item, which is authorization to advertise notice for hearing taxpayers.
Thank you, Dr. Thacker. President Riley, Board of Trustees. You have before you a request to advertise for additional appropriations. We have not had an opportunity to pay off a couple loans a little more quickly than we had originally planned in our budget, allowing us to save some money on interest. We have the revenue to cover it. We just didn't have enough appropriations advertised. So we're just asking for that to occur. We would put an advertisement in the paper, notifying the public, and then come back to you with official approval at the next board meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Hawkins. Board members, any questions? Do I have a motion to authorize the advertisement of the notice to taxpayers of proposed additional appropriation for the debt service fund in the amount of $237,035 as presented?
I so move.
I second.
All those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Any opposed vote nay. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Hawkins. We'll move on to our final business services action item, Dr. Thacker.
Thank you, President Riley. and Board of Trustees. This is a lease financing building improvement projects. And this, per instructions, the administration received from our bond counsel, Ice Miller. President Riley will briefly review these next legal steps for the upcoming 2022 lease financing building improvement projects. President Riley.
Thank you, Dr. Thacker. So under the business and operational services this evening, the board must take action on the next legal steps for the upcoming 2022 lease financing building improvement projects. The school corporation is funding this project through a lease financing as it is done with other past construction renovation projects. Lease financings are used by school corporations across Indiana in order to borrow for renovation and construction. This type of financing does not count against the school corporation's constitutional debt allowance. The building corporation will purchase the Elm Road Elementary School building at the closing for at least the appraisal value. The building corporation will then lease that real estate back to the school corporation. The lease rental due from the school corporation will be paid from property taxes. The lease rental, as shown as a maximum amount in the lease, will be sufficient to pay the principal and interest due to the bond holders. The Penn High School Building Corporation has approved and submitted to the school corporation a proposed form of lease agreement, which has been provided to all the members of the board for review. With that being said, do I have a motion to adopt Exhibit A, which is a resolution approving form of lease and authorizing publication of notice of hearing on lease as presented?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Any opposed vote nay. Motion carries unanimously. Moving on, the Penn High School Building Corporation was previously formed to assist the school corporation in the financing of certain projects. For the building corporation, a not-for-profit Indiana corporation, to issue tax-exempt bonds, the IRS requires that the school board approve the building corporation and authorize it to issue tax-exempt bonds on behalf of the school corporation. That brings us to the second motion. Do I have a motion to adopt Exhibit B, resolution reapproving building corporation as presented?
I so move.
Second.
All those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
That motion also carries unanimously by a vote of 4-0. We'll now move on, and thank you, Mr. Hawkins. We'll now move on to our hearing of visitors. Anyone wishing to address the board on general topics is invited to do so under this item, the hearing of visitors, without registering. A time limit of 3 minutes shall be enforced for persons wishing to speak during the hearing of visitors. Board Attorney Jeff Johnson will keep time and I'll let you know when time is expiring. Please, in the interest of all involved, stick to your 3 minutes. It is requested that names and addresses be stated at the beginning of such comments. Individuals may speak only once during this section of the agenda. Personnel issues are absolutely not to be addressed during open sessions of the board. Concerns about individual employees of the district should be brought to the superintendent or to his designee. The board does not respond to questions or comments posed during the hearing of visitors. With that said, I understand that we have one person who's already registered to speak to the board. I'll call on the person who's pre-registered, followed by anybody who's here in the boardroom, followed by anybody who is in our overflow room, and then we'll end with those who are joining us via our live YouTube feed. With that in mind, Tracy Coda? No longer with us? Okay. No problem. Anybody else who is here in the boardroom who would like to address the board? Mrs. Leader.
Hello, President Riley, Dr. Thacker. It's been a while since I've been here. I first want to start with a thank you. I haven't been here since the Uvalde school shooting, and I would like you to know that during that, as I'm researching schools and those students, I want to say thank you because I never, ever have questioned my kids' safety here at Penn. We've been here for 15 years. And there's not one time that I ever felt like my kid was unsafe. So I want to thank you for that. I want to thank you, Daniel Black, for that Costa Rica trip. I was actually going to talk on the Japan and Europe trip. Thank you for making it available to everyone because everyone deserves those opportunities. I struggled with this topic for a while because it's been mentioned by a particular board member a couple of times about those trips. And I hope that you as a board can take a look that everyone deserves an opportunity to go on those trips. We talk a lot about our marginalized students. We talk a lot about equity, and it's not very equitable if all of our students don't have an opportunity to go on trips like that, because we have plenty that financially would never be able to do that and may never have that opportunity. And I think Penn, we are in a place that we can provide those opportunities. So I hope that you consider ways to make that available for students. I haven't been here in a while, but I've been talking to many teachers. Many teachers have come to me with concerns, and I would think and hope that you've heard those as well. But I also know that the conversation always ends, please don't tell anyone. I'm very concerned that we have staff and teachers that fear voicing concern, so I'm going to do it for you tonight. Some teachers have told me, teachers deserve safer classrooms where there is no repeated classroom disruptions. Out-of-district students should have a zero-tolerance behavior policy. PHM students should come first always. Teachers deserve to have a reasonable ratio of IEP students in smaller classrooms. Teachers deserve to be supported, heard, and respected by administration at all times above students. Teachers should never be cussed out, called names, harassed, or verbally abused, all in the name of restorative practice. Teachers should never be forced to teach or engage in anything that goes against their belief system or belief to be harmful to their students, like sexual or racial divisive language or curriculum. Professional development should be minimal and focused on education, not indoctrination. Teachers should be able to hold students accountable to excellence at all costs.
Expired. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Mrs. Leader, thank you very much. We really appreciate that. Who's next? Mr. Rutten.
Andy Rutten, 55304 Cedar Trail. President Riley, Dr. Thacker, and members of the board. I didn't get to share some thoughts from the April hearing of visitors, but I wanted to say how I appreciate that PHM had opened up the last meeting of the Superintendent Advisory Committee to all members of the public. It's important that all substantial meetings involving school staff and members of the public to be transparent. In addition, notes from prior SAC meetings were conveniently made available on the school website. So again, I appreciate that. Perhaps future SAC meetings can focus on important topics such as age-appropriate school literature or even use of child surveys in classrooms. So thanks for hearing me.
Thank you, Mr. Rutten. Who's next? Anybody else? Mrs. Cartwright?
Tina Cartwright, and I feel the need to clarify a question that I asked the last time I was able to be here in person. The last time I was here, I asked you all what color you thought I was. I know that might have left some of you confused and uncomfortable. I brought this up because there were talks about a scholarship offered to a student of color. I want to be clear that I think it's very generous of you to offer your own money for this scholarship and many other scholarships in the past over the years. My question is, what color of student can apply and what color cannot? I used to get asked quite often what nationality I was. Am I white with a really good tan? Am I half black, half white? Am I Hispanic? Am I Indian, etc.? Growing up, we used to always have check boxes on testing, applying for scholarships, financial aid. I had to check a box on what race I was, and I never really knew which one to check because I could only select one. In regards to the scholarship, it took me back to my high school days when I was applying for those items. I personally wouldn't know if I would be eligible for this specific scholarship that was offered to a person of color or not. And also, would my kids qualify? To me, it seems like it would put students in an uncomfortable situation, wondering if this was something that they could apply for or not. For the record, my father is Pakistani and my maternal grandfather is 1/4 Cherokee Indian. And again, I'm not trying to be mean, so please don't think that. I'm just making you aware of thoughts that might have occurred and deterred some students from applying for a scholarship that they might have desperately needed. I missed the last meeting as I was in Washington, D.C. with our daughter. I quickly want to brag about our teachers that design this trip year after year for our students. Mr. Dennis Bontrager and Mr. John Hedricks, as well as Mrs. Cunha and Mrs. Masterson, who happens to be here, for joining the students. The trip was so fun and ran like a well-oiled machine, so thank you to Mr. Bontrager, Mr. Hedricks, Mrs. Cunha, and Mrs. Masterson. If parents have a chance, you definitely want to go on this trip. Another praise is for our high school student athletes and coaches hosting summer camps for the younger students. As parents of young athletes, we appreciate these students investing their time and pouring into our young ones. Our littles look up to these older athletes, and these camps are a lot of fun. I loved attending Penn Cheer Camp as a kid and then helping with it as a high schooler. PHM has so much good to offer, and this is why so many parents are so passionate about our schools and what is happening within them. We love and have loved PHM for years, and we want to continue to love and support it. Everyone in this room loves PHM and wants what's best for it.
Thank you, Mrs. Cartwright, very much. Sincerely appreciate your remarks. I'm sure the teachers who organized that trip appreciate them too. Thank you. Is there anybody else who'd like to address the board? Is there anybody who is watching via our closed circuit television in our overflow room who'd like to address the board? Mrs. Hugenboom, has anybody registered online?
No.
I just want to tell everybody who has presented before the board tonight how much I appreciate the professional decorum, the dignified remarks. We really sincerely appreciate having a healthy discussion with our community and really appreciate your feedback. We'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the board reports and requests. Board members, do you have anything to report or request? Hearing none, we'll move on to announcements. Next regular meeting of the Penn-Harris-Madison Board of School Trustees will convene on Monday, July the 25th at 2022 at 7 p.m. here at the Educational Services Center. There being no further business before the board, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I so move.
A second.
All those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Any opposed vote nay. Motion carries unanimously and we're adjourned at 8:49 p.m.